I'm Sandesh Bartlett.
And I'm Ashwini Vethakan. We start things off with a look at the COVID-19 situation in the island. As of this week, the total number of COVID-19 infected patients stands at 15,350, with the number of recoveries reaching 10,183, and the total number of deaths now stands at 46. On Wednesday, authorities decided to increase the number of PCR tests carried out in Colombo to 1,000 tests a day. The Chief Medical Officer for Health of the Colombo Municipal Council stated that random PCR tests are carried out in Colombo North, Colombo Central, Boralla, Colombo West and Colombo East, targeting the first contacts of COVID-19 cases.
Meanwhile, the head of the epidemiology unit said that most of the COVID patients in Sri Lanka do not show any symptoms and are unknowingly transmitting the disease to others. On Tuesday, according to the Minister of Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, the World Health Organization has decided to provide 20% of the COVID-19 vaccine requirements to Sri Lanka once developed. And finally, a special announcement. Those who are in isolated areas and in need of an emergency ambulance may contact the hotline on 011 34 22 558. 011 34 22 558.
And now for a roundup of local news. While the country focuses on the COVID-19 pandemic, reports of large-scale deforestation are emerging for Potterville in the Ampara district. Local residents have continued to clear forests for cultivation and settle on protected lands. The Raddala Forest Reserve, brought under the Kumbukan Forest Reserve by Gazette in 2009, is at risk. Cultivation within the Raddala Reserve of the southeastern ecological zone bordering Potterville and Lahugala in the Ampara district thereby increased, and some 62 acres were cleared for settlements. According to Forest Department sources, by 2017, some 200 acres of the Raddala Forest Reserve had been destroyed. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Conservation have issued a press release stating that both Circulars 5/2001 and 2/2006 have been cancelled. This means that what is called Other State Forests or OSFs will be removed from the district control of the Department of Forest Conservation and handed back to the district secretariats and divisional secretariats. In other words, these forests can be used for any purpose regardless of the impact on the environment, with the issuance of permits by the district and divisional secretariats in consultation with the Department of Forest Conservation. These forests make up 5% of the remaining 16.5% of forest cover in Sri Lanka, thereby reducing total forest coverage island-wide to 11.5%.
Sri Lankan-born Dr. Dinesh Palipana, co-founder of Doctors with Disabilities Australia, was named Queensland's 2021 Australian of the Year. He is a senior resident at the Gold Coast University Hospital, a recent law graduate, as well as the doctor for the Gold Coast Titans Physical Disability Rugby League team. And finally, a senior policeman said that the Criminal Investigations Department will be reorganised to ensure efficiency. Accordingly, 19 police officers attached to the CID, including 10 OICs of the investigation unit of the CID, had already been transferred to normal duties. This becomes the first time in the history that such a number of officers were transferred at once.
Moving on to business news. The Cabinet has granted approval to district secretaries and government agents to begin releasing paddy stocks via Sathosa outlets countrywide. To address the current rice shortage in the market and the owner of rice mills being unable to supply sufficient rice stocks under the controlled price. The central bank has stated that the 6-month grace period extended for the 4% working capital loan scheme would be extended to 9 months. Given that most borrowers have experienced difficulties in revamping their businesses as expected due to the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Despite the COVID-19 impact, exports in September grew by 4.8% to $1 billion. The central bank said that this marks an increase from $954 million a year earlier, assisting the trade deficit to continue its contraction. The improvement in the trade deficit during the month was due to a lower level of imports and higher level of exports in September 2020 compared to September 2019. Sri Lanka has raised bus fares by 20% as the passenger carriage has been limited by the number of seats according to health rules. The rules were implemented to counter the spread of the coronavirus, officials said. The State Minister of Transport Services said the minimum amount will be increased by 1.2 from the 11th of November onwards.
And now for a roundup of global news. The total number of COVID-19 cases has surpassed 51 million, with the recovered numbers being a little over 36 million.
A week after elections, COVID-19 cases in America reached record levels, with more than 1 million cases being recorded in the month of November alone. There are over 10 million confirmed US cases so far, with 239,732 deaths. And the death toll is rising to an average of over 900 a day amid the new spikes. All of Hong Kong's pro-democracy lawmakers have resigned after Beijing forced 4 of their colleagues to resign earlier this week. On Wednesday, Beijing passed a resolution allowing the city's government to dismiss politicians deemed a threat to national security. Shortly afterwards, the opposition lawmakers said they would leave the city legislature in solidarity. For the first time since Hong Kong was handed back to China in 1997, the body has almost no dissenting voices. Protesters in Armenia's capital have set an ultimatum to the Prime Minister to quit after he agreed to a deal to settle fighting in the Nagorno-Karabakh region. Pressured by the opposition parties, the Armenian parliament is expected to hold an emergency session on Nikol Pashinyan's political future. Under the Russian broken deal, Azerbaijan keeps areas it has captured.
That's all the news we have for you this week.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Thank you for watching.
And stay safe.